The grand golden halls of the Vermilion Palace glistened with imperial splendor. But my heart was encased in ice. On the day I became Empress, the Emperor did not even glance at me. He stood with eyes fixed beyond me, his thoughts trailing after another woman, the one he wished wore my crown. "Announce the new Empress!" The Grand Eunuch's voice rang. I bowed, dressed in robes dyed with phoenix fire. But I felt none of its heat. He didn't hold my hand. He didn't speak a word. Thus began my 3-year reign, not as his beloved, but as his duty. Every morning, I performed the rites. Every evening, I dined alone. I sent him gifts, poetry, silks embroidered with his favorite celestial beasts. He sent silence in return. Rumors rippled through, the concubine quarters like oil on water. The Emperor only visited one chamber, Consort Leon's. Worse yet, my son, Jenner, my light, was taken from my arms at birth. Raised in the Eastern Hall by nurses, taught to bow before Consort Leon as mother. When he passed me in the garden at age 3, he blinked at me like I was a maidservant. "Who is she, Mama?" he asked Leon. That day, something inside me quietly died. 3 years. Not once had he asked how I was. One rainy night, I collapsed with fever. No physician came until morning. No letters arrived. No footsteps echoed in concern. I lay there, trembling, my fingers curled on sheets that still smelled like cold perfume and power. When I recovered, I signed the request for relinquishment. It was short. I wrote, "I, Empress Lin Yue, step down from my position with no regrets, leaving the Emperor free to pursue happiness." I left quietly, not even waiting for his response. I moved to the countryside under the name Yue, opening a small apothecary. Villagers came with fevers, snake bites, wounded children. I healed what I could. And slowly, I healed too. There were no jeweled corridors, but the winds were kind, the sky vast, and the scent of jasmine, my mother's favorite, reminded me I was still alive. It had been 5 years since I left the palace. At the Lantern Festival, I was buying herbs when I heard a familiar voice. Low, commanding. One I'd heard reciting decrees, sentencing men, dismissing me. I turned. There he stood, Emperor Wrong. Shen, without robes or crown, just a traveler's cloak. His face aged sharper, colder. Beside him, a tall boy with hawk-like eyes and cold composure. My son. They didn't recognize me. Not at first. But I recognized the way my son pinched his brow in thought, just like he used to in the cradle. Then he said, "That herb seller, her eyes are strange. They look familiar." I stood still as stone. The Emperor's gaze locked on me. "Do I know?" "You?" he asked. I smiled faintly. "I doubt it, Your Majesty." He flinched. Just a flicker, but I saw it. He returned the next day. Then again, pretending to browse herbs he never needed. One evening, he stayed late and finally asked, "Why did you leave without saying goodbye?" I paused, my hand on a jar of red lotus pollen. "You never said hello," I said softly. His jaw clenched. "I looked for you," he lied. "You let them take my child," I replied. He said nothing. There was nothing left to say. Jenner, now 17, came alone. He asked questions. "Why did you leave the palace? Did you once live in the inner court? Why do you always look at me? Like you know me?" I almost told him. But I didn't want pity, or forced affection. One day, I stitched a jade butterfly he dropped, returned it with a bow. He stared at my hands. You stitched this, just like the ones I had in the nursery. My mother used to make them." Then he blinked. "Wait." I smiled gently. "Goodbye, young master," and turned away. It wasn't me who told him. It was the old wet nurse, long retired, who now lived nearby. When Jenner confronted his father, the palace shook. "You said she abandoned me." "She did," the emperor snapped. "She was forced to." The truth unraveled. How consort Leon had plotted. How ministers feared I bore the emperor's favor. How my titles were hollow from the start. Jenner left the palace. And one stormy night, he stood at my door. He didn't speak. He just fell to his knees and hugged me. "I'm sorry," he whispered over and over. I stroked his hair, tears falling silently. "You didn't know, my child, and I no longer blame you." In that moment, the years of emptiness folded into something whole. Not perfect, but real. The emperor came once more. He offered reinstatement, jewels, palace honors, a second coronation. "I don't need a throne," I said. "Only peace." He stood there, eyes hollow. "I loved you," he muttered. "No," I said. "You loved the idea of someone else." Years later, I passed through the capital and saw a grand procession. The emperor in his golden carriage. Our eyes met briefly. He looked. I looked. Neither of us stopped. Just two strangers, once linked by fate, now severed by choice. And that, I realized, was the final freedom. 3 years as Empress, I endured silence, neglect, rejection. But today, I am more than what I lost. Because sometimes, to truly reign, we must first walk away. Thank you for watching this short story. More narrations are on the way. Please like and subscribe, and feel free to share your feedback in the comments section. Wishing you a wonderful experience ahead.